Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living African Podcast. I have with me today a special and very influential guest. His name is Anderson Obiagwu, and he's originally from Nigeria, and he is the founder of Afrima, which is the African Music Magazine Awards. They're going to be celebrating their 10th year anniversary, September 17 of 2023. And I have Mr. Anderson here who's going to talk about the Afrima events and also other ventures that he's pursuing. So I just have a quick biography about Mr. Obiagwu. So Anderson Obiagwu is an influential figure in the entertainment industry, and he is known as a pillar of support for African youth. He was born in Orlu in Imo State, Nigeria. He has lived in the United States for the past 26 years and is a successful entrepreneur. He has carved a niche as the biggest and most influential African music promoter and subsequently one of the biggest youth movement supporters in Africa. His love and passion for African music has led to the creation of three trailblazing companies. First, the Big A Entertainment. He has the African Music Magazine and the African Music Magazine Awards, which is the AFRIMA. As a philanthropist, he is heavily involved in charity work in the US and Nigeria. He has received numerous awards and recognition for his contribution to Africa and to his community. He has been honored by the City of Dallas, the Nigerian Entertainment Awards USA, African Entertainment Awards Canada, and many more. He is happily married to a beautiful and supportive woman and has been blessed with three lovely children. That's a pretty impressive story right there. And I want to welcome you, Anderson. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I just want us to cut straight to it. And, like, despite all the titles and all the names, I always like starting by bringing out the human behind all of that. So I really want to know your story. Tell us about your story growing up in Nigeria until when you came over to the United States. How was it for you?
I was born in Imo State, the eastern part of Nigeria. I did my elementary, high school education in the East and left Nigeria in 1997 to the United States, and I've been here ever since then. And got married a couple of years later, blessed with three amazing children. That's my story. And then I fell in love with African entertainment about 15 years ago, and I started bringing African artists all the way from Africa and touring them around the United States and Canada. And I've successfully done that for 15 years.
Yeah, thank you so much. And your story is especially intriguing to me because I would call it an outlier in terms of growing up and being groomed in Africa. Obviously, the culture or the system kind of limits us to specific professions, right? You have to either be a doctor or an engineer or a pharmacist or a nurse, things like that, or a lawyer. But we often tend to not really talk about entertainment and other things that actually, I believe, bring more money than all of those roles, like entrepreneurship and things like that. And that's really what I want to highlight. So, what actually was did you have any original dream before you came into entertainment, and what sparked your interest in entertainment?
Yeah, just like any any African child or Nigerian child in the Nigerian family, your parents want you to be a lawyer, a doctor, or somebody. They just want you to have a fallback in life. They just want to
Yeah.
those basic foundations. So my story was initially, my dad wanted me to be a medical doctor. So I came to the United States with the intention of being a medical doctor. But at some point during my journey, my academic journey, then I switched it to respiratory therapy and then became a respiratory therapy practiced and worked in the hospital for about 10 years. And then that was when I decided that I really want to follow my passion. My passion is actually finding different avenues to tell our story out here in diasporas. Music was my passion, and I felt like with music, people can actually listen to music, and the easiest way to break your culture into any
Yeah.
society. So
Yeah. It brings people together.
yes, so I chose music, and I went to Canada. A friend of mine had a concert. I remember Two Face. He brought Two Face
Yes.
to Canada for an event, and that was my first time actually experiencing an African artist out here in the States or in diaspora actually putting together a show. And then I saw at that show something hit me. I saw how people from eastern part of Africa, southern part of Africa, northern part of Africa. Everybody was just in that room. Nobody
Yeah.
was talking about religious differences. Nobody was talking
Yeah. Cultural
language,
differences,
cultural difference.
nothing.
Everybody was just having a great time.
Vibing.
Just
Yeah.
the music, people. It was just the music language, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, and it's something I really want to bring to the States, and that's how
Yeah.
it started. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an impressive story. I've actually been in the States for about 17 years, and I would say that when I came here, like Afro beats and the African music, it was not even heard of. Like a lot of people it wasn't even cool to be African. Like now everybody is like
Of
claiming to be cool. Like
Yep.
you always had the questions thrown at you like, "Oh, do you guys still live on trees? Do you live with lions and
Yep.
elephants and things like that?"
Exactly.
So I can only imagine how was it for you to bring your very first artist, like basically just starting the whole journey? Because I would think that it was very challenging considering the fact that many people were not really as interested in
Yeah.
African music back then compared to now.
Yeah, it was a huge challenge. And my first artist was supposed to be Timaya. That was when he had, that hit songs, all of them. So, I just, I fell in love with the music, and I was like, I need to bring that. That's going to be my new artist. And
Yeah.
then I didn't have no experience. I didn't know how to go about getting them the right visas and make it. I just didn't know nothing. So, if somebody told me that Timaya was coming to America, I'm like, wow, what a coincidence. Okay, I want to book him, and then I paid the deposit, started promotion. That was back in the days. Then there was nothing like social media. Now,
Yeah.
if you start promoting an artist, as soon as someone tags that artist, the artist will know that someone is promoting them somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they can actually go and say, hey, I'm not actually booked for that show. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we're
Mm-hmm.
actually promoted this show for a very long time. About a week to the show, a friend of mine that lives in Lagos, I called him. I'm like, bro, you need to come and support me in my first show. Come to Dallas. It's next weekend. He was like, who you bringing? I said, Timaya. Then he was like, I was with Timaya in the club 2 days ago. I didn't say anything about going to America. So he put Timaya on a three-way call. So when Timaya, he was like, oh, Timaya, so you're going to America and you didn't tell me. I'm here with the guy that's taking you to America. Timaya was like, which America? He doesn't have like, he doesn't even have a visa. How is he gonna get to America? Is he gonna fly to America? So that was a huge disappointment. Then
Oh.
we had to go to Plan B. My friend in Canada that had a concert with Two Face. I reached out to him again, so he reached out to Two Face. Two Face had a visa. He had a current visa at that time, but he had a show that week in Malaysia. So we struck a deal, and then we had to fly him all the way from Malaysia to Dallas. Meanwhile, we've been promoting Timaya all this
Oh.
3 months. We've been promoting Timaya, and there was no flyer, no billboard, no handbill
Yeah.
with Two Faces information that he's going to be at the show. But we had to risk it.
Yeah.
We had to do so.
Yeah. Yeah.
We brought Two Face in. People, the day of the show, people who were seated waiting to see Timaya.
Timaya.
And then showtime, Two Face got on stage, and guess what? He killed the show. He like people had so much fun. He was on stage for an hour, about an hour 30 minutes. People had an amazing time. So after the show, I was still nervous that people were going to ask for their money back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whoa, thumbs up, man! You need to do this more often. This is amazing. Nobody asked for Timaya. I'm like, this is crazy. So that was the biggest lesson I learned in the game. That was why after the Two Face concert, now I don't. If I'm trying to do any concert, I'm trying to bring an artist. I had to go from getting their work visas to
Yes.
flying them out here and taking care of them while they're here on tour, and just making sure I'm in charge, making sure I don't run into the first disappointment. I had the first time with Two Face.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was such an interesting story, and it has so many lessons in it. It just goes to show persistence and also just taking that bold step and believing in yourself because you wouldn't have gotten Two Face if you didn't promote Timaya, right? And I would think Two Face was actually well more established and bigger than Timaya back then. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And yeah, like that's so impressive, and thank you so much for sharing that. I can only imagine how hectic it must have been as well, like just trying to take that risk and invest your money into something that you weren't even sure of the outcome for the very first time. It must have really been something. With respect to like bringing artists over to America, I know that going to bring a lot of artists as well into Afrima, which we're going to talk about Afrima shortly. I can only imagine it takes about a couple of months, right? Or even at least a year for you to book them and get all of that
The visa,
ready. Has there ever been like issues with visas, especially at the American embassy?
not really. Like most of the time, their band members get denied, but
Mm,
artists most of the time they give them because they're already established. But the band members that come to play with
yeah,
them,
yeah.
most of them haven't even traveled outside Nigeria before, so sometimes it's a challenge.
So how did you come about Big A Entertainment? And, was it before or after the African Music Magazine?
No, Big Entertainment gave birth to African Music Magazine and African Music Magazine Awards. So Big A Entertainment is the platform that I use to. That's my promotion company. That's the touring platform that I
Mm-hmm.
use to promote and bring African music and African artists to America and Canada. So I did that for about 5 years. Then I started working touring with the biggest names in the industry, from Two Face, Timaya, Burna Boy, Davido. I did most of them. I did their tours for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was on tour with them, there was a one time I did some shows with Whiskey. That was when they nominated him at the BET Awards. But
Yeah.
usually when then they had that category, international category only. That was what they had,
Yes.
an international category. So they nominate them, they win the award. But guess what? They give them the award at the pre-show in the morning.
Yes. Yes.
They
Yes.
never used to give them the
During the
trophy
show, yeah, in the
during the
main
show.
event.
So on that tour, I was on tour with one of those artists. So we talked about it. So it was just everybody was just mad, especially that year, and people were tweeting, "What this is like a letdown to Africa. This
Mm-hmm.
and this." So I'm already touring with this amazing and talented artist. Why can't we create something for us by us? Why can't we
Yeah,
create
yeah.
a platform where we can celebrate our own artist? We talked about it within our group and team, and then we like, okay, before we do that, let's start a magazine. Let's set up a platform where people. Then Afrobeats wasn't like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's popular. So we're like, okay, let's create a platform where people can go in and kind of look at Afrobeats, where people can go in and just understand what's happening in Africa musically. Just a one
Yeah.
stop shop where you can go and say, oh, you can find out what the latest song, the biggest artist, the new artist, the lifestyle of the artists, where they're touring, where they're going to be, all of that stuff. So that was how we started the African Music Magazine. About a year later, we decided to start the award show where we can create a platform where we can honor all these African artists on the same stage in
Yeah.
America. So that was how we started Afrima. And the beauty of it is it's not just Nigeria. We just wanted to cover all parts of Africa. We can unite Africa through music. And the one thing I love about Afrima is that it brings all these artists together that most of them have never met each other before. They know
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
they know of each other, but they have never been on this in the same room, in the same space, on the same. They've never shared those stages before
Mm-hmm.
together. That was what happened 2014 at the first edition, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing feeling where you see, someone like Fali Pupa seeing a friend for
Yes.
the first time, and everybody's just too excited. Oh, I love your song. Oh, I love you. Can we do a song together? 2014, Afrima gave birth to a whole lot of collaborations. Fali Pupa from Congo collaborated with Fali during that trip. Eddie Kenzo collaborated with Teddy A. Stanley Eno collaborated with David Doe. David Doe also
Yes.
collaborated with Diamond Platinum.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
just an amazing experience. And guess what? Most of them were supposed to leave on Monday after the show. And most of them ended up changing their tickets
Oh,
so,
wow.
so they could, book studio sections, shoot videos, and all of that stuff. So, and that's been the story of Afrima for the past 10 years, and it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, I definitely would give you the props for pushing the African agenda forward, especially with respect to the entertainment industry in America or at least in the diaspora. Because probably, if not for people like you, a lot of African songs will not have been prominent, especially in America. So thank you so much for that. I mean, it's been 10 years. Time has gone by so fast. And the last 10 years has definitely come with a lot of victories, and I'm also sure it's come with a lot of challenges. So can you tell us like some of the moments that just came full circle for you in the last 10 years, and also like some of the challenges that you faced that almost got you discouraged?
Of course, nothing comes easy. Going into this game, I knew it wasn't going to come easy. I knew I knew it was going to work at some point, but not that fast. So
Yeah.
I was built for it. I was ready for it. So I embraced all the challenges from disappointment. Some artists, most of the artists, they don't really have proper management back then. They didn't have
Yes.
proper management. So you're dealing with a big artist. You see a big artist that has hit records, and maybe his manager is like a homeboy, his
Yeah,
homeboy.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
so, most of the big artists, you see that whoever is in the management team, part of the management team, they're just friends, they're not professionals. So it makes it very difficult for sometimes to get the message across, for them to understand or adhere to the contracts. Some like it was just a challenge, but most
Yeah.
of those challenges we don't run into those challenges anymore because now the African music space is more developed,
Organized.
more
Yeah.
organized. So now it's easy. And then back in the days, we had challenges. You know how you bring a big artist. I remember when I booked P Square in Houston. That was the first time in America, and they were selling out stadiums. They were selling out arenas across Africa and Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking it was going to be the same out here. So
Mm.
the show brought them to Houston. It was a shocker. So we were
Oh.
about 3,000 people, but it was like 400 people that showed up, and
Oh.
the huge loss. And also with the award shows, just when we started getting corporations out here in America to believe in
To
Africa,
support. Yeah.
to believe in our numbers, you see a big corporation, they rather sponsor a Hispanic soccer tournament that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
300 people than supporting a platform like this that brings over 5,000 people into the city for just that weekend. And then also the post award marketing that we do, they don't this really don't they really didn't used to see it because Africa was something new to them. But now
Yeah.
nobody, I don't think anybody in any corporation can tell you they've never had an Afrobeat song or they've never heard about David Doe, Whiskey, or Burna
Yes.
Boy. So I mean, the story has started. I mean, it started gradually changing. So
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Now let's talk about the 10th year anniversary coming up September 17th of
yeah,
2023. What should people expect?
They will, I'll say fireworks. I'll say if you a fan of Africa, if you're a fan of our music, our fashion, our food, I call
Yeah.
it weekend in Africa. So if you want to experience Africa, just come to Dallas that whole weekend from the 15th of September to the 17th. From the 15th, we're having African arts exhibition. We're having the African Afrima welcome party that Friday. On that
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, we're gonna have the Afrima fashion show with over 15 designers from just across the globe. We have, I think, about 10 of them are coming from Africa,
Mm.
South Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, West Africa, and some are coming from Europe, and a few that are based there in America. So it's going to be a cultural experience, I'm telling you. And then
Right.
the grand finale is going to be on September the 17th here in Dallas, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be just fireworks. We're expecting about 45 artists from across Africa.
Right. Can you name drop some of those artists?
Stay tuned.
Just yet,
Stay tuned.
or
Just stay tuned.
or their visas are yet to come out?
No, they need to stay tuned. They need to follow us on
Right.
social media. Go to Afrima on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Go to our website, www.afrima.com, for tickets, for information. If you're coming from out of town, we have a hotel block. All the information you need for concerning anything you need to know about that weekend is on our website.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And how can Africans, or at least Friends of Africa, support, especially or participate in this 10th anniversary? Because I know there could be opportunities to volunteer, there could be several ways to support.
Yeah, there's so many ways to support. If you're a corporation or a company or a small business owner and you're trying to put your business out there, all that information is on our website. If you're a volunteer and you want to volunteer, you want to be a part of it, all that information is on our website.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Now, I want to switch gears just a little bit. And because I know you're also a philanthropist, and that actually is very admirable because, achieving this height of success is always good to give back to the community. And you're doing such a great job at giving back to Africa and to the globe as a whole. So, what philanthropic projects do you have that are ongoing at the moment?
Yeah, we have Bigger Foundation. We every month we pick different communities in Nigeria. For now, we're starting. They say charity start begins at
At
home.
home. Yeah.
So We're doing surgeries for little kids with different medical challenges. We've done over 75 or 76 surgeries for different kids in different parts of Nigeria, and right now we're building a school in a community in Imo State, which hopefully will be able to we'll be able to hand it over to the government by before January.
Okay, great. Are you guys having any projects around the US or the Dallas area as well?
Yeah, we always do like a charity give back during the holidays, Easter's, and every Easter and every Christmas. We've been doing
Okay.
it for 12 years.
Sure. And how can people support those projects?
Yeah, it's on the website. Like I said,
It's still
yeah,
on Afrima?
yeah, everything is on the
Oh,
website.
okay. Okay, perfect.
They can go to my own website too, bigaentertainment.com, or they
Hmm.
can go to afrima.com.
Okay, afrima.com. Thank you so much. Now, what is one, or at least what are the beliefs that you have stuck to? Because it obviously didn't take one day to create such an empire. And like you mentioned, there's been so many challenges that you have occurred, but there's definitely been something I would think that has kept you going regardless of everything. And I believe I can also learn from that because I'm not necessarily in the entertainment industry, but I believe that knowing the right people can take you places, right? And those are one of the things that I'm trying to do, to network with people. I also wanted to hear from you, like, what has really kept you going despite every challenge that you have faced?
The biggest thing is my faith in God. I pray about it, I dream it, I pray about it, and I have a very strong support system. My wife, she's like we we work together. So
Yeah,
if I'm there, she's there, and that's she's been one of my biggest support systems. So and my kids too. So it's like
yeah,
everybody, and then my team. Most of the members of my team have been there from the beginning, 15 years ago. So it's like what brought all of us together is just this passion for Africa, and that's what has kept us in it. We would have burnt out long time ago. We would have dropped this whole African music movement if not for the team and everything that we believe in. We believe in the continent, and we believe in telling our stories. And the world is they're listening. They're listening to the stories, and
hmm,
they're appreciating it, and they're embracing it. There's no better time to be African than now. So
yeah. That's very true. And what words of advice will you give to the rest of the African community?
just keep believing in yourself. Keep believing in Africa. Keep believing in who. Don't change who you are. Don't change who you are for anything. Be proud of who you are. God created you in that skin for a reason. So if you're black, if you're African, you're African. You're African for a reason. Love yourself like more than anybody else can ever love you. Nobody can love you better than you. You have to
Yeah,
believe in yourself. There's a certain level of confidence that comes with believing in yourself. How can you talk people into believing in your dreams if you don't even
believe in yourself. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So you just have to believe in it. You just have to understand that it takes time. You just have to understand it takes passion, it takes hard work and dedication. And you're gonna fall a million times, but you're gonna in your head you're gonna rise 100 million times. That's just what's gonna keep you going.
Yeah, thank you so much. You definitely have a unique story, and your story of success is very evident from, your mindset and your work ethic and everything. And I really want to give you a shout out and really thank you as well for even willing to have this interview with me, because someone of your caliber is probably extremely busy, but you just taking that time out of your busy schedule to have this interview
Yeah.
with us, it goes to say a lot about you as a person and as a business person as well, and also as a leader, because it's not easy to come across people like this who would just give their time, away like that. I really want to thank you so much for this interview that you've had with us, and I wish you all the best. How can people reach you directly, or at least contact you? You've already given your social media platforms. Is it through the website again, Afrima?
Yeah, website. My the entertainment website is bigaentertainment.com. On IG is BIGAENT. On Twitter, same. Facebook, Anderson Obiagwu. And then on Facebook too, Big A Entertainment. You
Okay.
can send me a DM or whichever way works for you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope that this episode actually inspired our brothers and sisters, both back home in Africa and here in the diaspora. And I hope that the conversation doesn't end here. At the end of the day, what's most important, regardless of how we were raised, is to really show that passion towards pursuing your dreams, regardless of where you come from. And that's a lesson that I actually have learned today from you. So I want to thank you so much for coming on here, and I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, wait, don't go yet. The episode is over, but I still have something to say. I actually was very inspired by this conversation, though it was a short episode. I was very inspired by it because of the humility that our guest actually showed. If you're African, you may have heard or at least come across the Afrima platform. It's such a huge platform, especially in the diaspora. And for Mr. Anderson to have basically worked on it from scratch and brought it up to this level just goes to show that hard work definitely pays off. And most importantly, one thing that I really wanted to point out was that Mr. Anderson actually was very willing to do this interview. I really want to highlight us as Africans, the fact that we need to do way better at supporting one another. Living African Podcast obviously is a small platform compared to Afrima and all the good works that they have done. But Mr. Anderson did not even question me not once or hesitate not once. Mind you, I reached out to him about this interview 2 days ago. Afrima's 10-year anniversary starts September 15th through 17th. That's the 10-year anniversary celebrations in Dallas. And this man, who should be pulling off his hair and like being very busy, I asked him 2 days ago for an interview, and he immediately responded with the information that I needed within 24 hours and was here to do this interview. And that just goes to show that people who actually believe in you and truly believe in the African agenda will do everything in their power, will drop everything down at a heartbeat to support it. Because I have actually reached out to and even met with so many influential Africans, especially in the Houston area. Not one person had shown up, or at least not one person has stood up to their words when it was time to act. Like if I maybe asked for a podcast interview and stuff like that, all I heard is crickets, which, I'm not trying to bring them down or anything. What I'm just going to say with respect to this is that the people that actually want to see you win will do everything to see that happen. Or at least not necessarily you, the people that want to see the African agenda win will do everything to see that happen. The other people might have been very busy also doing other things that push the African agenda, which is totally fine. And I mean, I'm still hoping that they're going to get back, but I just want to pass a message that do not be discouraged. Just because someone doesn't respond to you, it doesn't mean that they don't necessarily want to help you. They may be caught up with so many other things and they may respond at their own time, which is fine. But just keep pushing, just keep asking. And this same lesson can be learned from the podcast interview with Mr. Anderson, where he booked Timaya, who actually back in the day was a very, 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 very hot and up-and-coming artist way back when. Two-Face actually was already an established artist, and he must have been very hard to get, to come for any event, or at least very expensive to get. Mr. Anderson believed in himself and decided to take a bet on himself and reach out. And he was promoting for Timaya when he wasn't even sure how he was going to get Timaya. But now he found himself having Two-Face. So that just goes to show that no matter what you're going through, believe in yourself. And also, regardless of the situation, just keep going, just keep pushing, and try to take advantage of any circumstances or opportunities that come your way, because you may never know where you're going to end up. I would say that I've actually been one of those people who have been looking at Afrima and supporting it from the sidelines, but just knowing the story and the person behind the story really gives me a better insight. So this is what I really want to ask all of you, my African brothers and sisters, to do. Please, let's go support Afrima. Mr. Anderson already provided the website. Please go to that website and support in one way or the other, whether you're going to be a sponsor, a volunteer and participating, or just an attendee. Please go support this cause, because it is such a very important way to foster the African agenda. and I am all for it. So please do me a favor as my listeners and support Afrima for me. Thank you so much. Again, I hope that we can carry on this conversation and learn lots and lots of lessons from these discussions that we have here on Living African Podcasts. Catch you in the next episode. Bye.